Mere conservatism.
And hello, David Perry. How you doing?
Hey, Cleve, I'm doing good, man.
You're looking great.
It's a beautiful day, and I just feel that baseball is just around the corner. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about some owl. Some owl that they're excited about. And, Cleve, I don't care how superb an owl is. I'm not interested.
Oh, very good.
In a superb owl.
Well, I'm glad to hear you clear that up. By the way, I got some stuff here that I've been wanting to really bounce off your head. I'm serious.
Hey, ouch. Hey, Cleve, I'm offended. That's going to hurt.
First of all, I don't even want to talk about it, but I think we got to mention it. Have you seen it or seen any excerpts of the State of the Union address?
Yeah, a few things. Now, I don't watch that stuff.
Neither do I.
But I do watch excerpts from it. So, the things that the pundits are talking about. And there was a little bit of a kerfuffle in this particular State of the Union where there was a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of give and take between the audience and Joe Biden, which makes the State of the Union much more interesting. The State of the Union is so boring.
Because,
it's so
like
bad.
I said, in London, that's the way it is.
It is.
When their legislature is in session.
You know what I hate about the State of the Union the most, is all the standing and applauding.
Oh, okay.
And it takes so much time. People stand and applaud. It's like a political statement when you stand and applaud at certain statements, but not others. And even the pundits, after you watch the State of the Union, will get on and say, Senator Cruz, he didn't stand up during this part of the speech. I'm just like, who cares? That's dumb. I'm over that part. If I was a congressman or a senator, I'd sit with you know what I would do? I would get a copy of the New York Post with the front page story would be the one about Hunter Biden's laptop. And instead of paying attention to the speech, I would just hold the paper over my face and read the paper while Joe Biden was giving his address. And then every time they panned the crowd, they'd see the headline about Hunter Biden's laptop. That's what I would do.
Well, I listened to excerpts of it, and he didn't make that many gaffes. He only made a few out-and-out gaffes.
A lot of slurred words and
that was in there.
That kind of thing. You don't necessarily call that a gaffe, but there was a lot of imprecise speech.
It was just the fact that you're going to hear a bunch of lies. Why would I subject myself to that? An hour of hearing lies and hearing liars applaud the lies.
Yeah. The applause is the part that really bugs me. It's like just it takes so long.
I like to booze though. I love to booze because they were right.
Yeah, that's true.
He comes up with that same lie about Medicare and Social Security and what the Republicans are going to do for it. And he deserved to get booed.
Well, and at the end when he blamed Republicans for Paul Pelosi getting hit in the head with a hammer, that was fun.
Anyway,
kind of over that. Now, I heard on that, and you probably didn't plan on talking about this, but I heard some right-wing pundits talk about how the right got that story so wrong. Because remember, all the conspiracy theories were that Paul Pelosi had invited this guy, somebody that he knew.
I remember.
And we didn't really know that, but it was kind of suspicious and it was kind of weird. And you don't put anything past people in San Francisco. Well, they released the tape and all that stuff. It turns out that wasn't the case. And so these right-wing pundits were talking about how wrong the right got it. And I couldn't help but just remember that the left was saying that this guy was a Trump MAGA attacker.
They were.
So who got it more wrong?
You're right. At the very start.
The left got it wrong. The right got it wrong. I heard the 911 call. How dense was that 911 operator? Did you hear it?
I heard that.
I was thinking like Biden is not Biden. Pelosi is telegraphing, I have a problem here. Come help me. And they're like, okay, bye. It's like, no, not bye. I need your help.
But it should have come out simply for the fact that you shouldn't hold them to a different standard.
Do you think the police held it back because the police looked so bad?
I think so. I really do. They didn't want any part of that. They really didn't.
And I say all that to say, the right-wing conspiracy theorists got that one wrong, but Biden is still saying that this guy that broke into Paul Pelosi's house was motivated by MAGA.
Yes, and he will say
that is a lie.
Right.
It is a stupid lie.
And the media.
And they're still saying it.
Will not bring it up.
No.
That is a lie. Well, speaking of investigations, David, they're doing that to the Justice Department, finding out bias against conservatives. And so they got a committee on that. Jim Jordan, who I like, is the head of that committee. Matter of fact, it's called the Weaponization of Government Committee. And
Okay.
they're looking at the FBI. They got it in the crosshairs. Jordan said he's already been contacted by dozens of FBI whistleblowers who are vowing to expose FBI corruption.
Well, good. I mean, this stuff needs to come to light so that then hopefully they can do something about it. Now, one criticism of the House of Representatives is that they have hearings but never do anything.
Right.
Which is true enough. I mean, that's basically a true thing. They're very limited at what they can actually accomplish. But I actually think that exposing some of this stuff is going to be a good thing. Now, how much of it gets covered by the media and all that stuff, that's partly up to us to get that information out and to highlight it because the mainstream media probably won't. But it's a good thing if we get a chance to expose these organizations and hopefully clean them out a little bit, because the next president hopefully will be a Republican and hopefully will take the opportunity to
whoever the next president is, if he's Republican, and I'm trusting and praying with all my heart he will be. If it's Trump or if it's DeSantis, whoever,
or Kamala.
Don't say that.
Or
please don't say that.
Hillary.
I'm just saying the first thing they need to do is clean house. I mean, that ought to be in their campaign, that from day one, we're going through the Justice Department, we're going through the intelligence, the CIA, we're going through them, FBI, and we're going to clean house, and people will be out of there. Right now, we can't do that, but we got to do something. So I'm in favor of this particular committee investigating it. I'm glad they're doing it, and I just hope and pray that somehow or another, we can cleanse our law enforcement and our Justice Department.
Yeah, well, because that needs to be the end result, right? This needs to be done to show a reason for us to clean house.
Right. Now, I've been wanting to get your take on the big balloon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Wasn't that?
I'm frustrated by this.
Wasn't that surreal? The whole thing, though. It's like, there's a big spy balloon from China. Everybody knows where it's from. It's just floating across the country, taking its little time, and in the real world, that thing would have been down before it got over the continental U.S. By the U.S. Yeah,
they should have neutralized it before it got here, or at least in Montana. They could have done it. They could have done it in Alaska. Right. So they were worried about civilians on the ground. There's no civilians in Montana. There's nothing in Montana.
They had plenty of space to take it down. My concern is they're acting like we had no idea this thing was coming. We had no idea that it was there. That ought to be concerning to us. Well,
I think they knew. But so I have a lot of thoughts on this. Number one thing that they could have said, and this one of my frustrations with government is the communication is bad. They could have said this. Listen, everybody, we see the Chinese spy balloon. We have scrambled its signals. It cannot receive or transmit anything. As soon as it's over the ocean, we're going to shoot it down. We're going to collect it. This is something China cannot do stuff like this. It's unacceptable. They could have said that, and I would have accepted that. All right. Probably what they should have done is just shot it down over Alaska or even over Montana. They should have shot it down right away. But China doesn't really need I don't think China really needs spy balloons to do what they want to do. I think that they use spy balloons in some cases because it's one method that they use to gather intelligence. I mean, they have electronics, they have satellites, they have all kinds of stuff.
You're getting close.
I was actually talking about this with my niece. She's 16, and she said something that was actually very insightful that I had been thinking too, and I knew that it was insightful because I had the same thought. And she didn't even realize what she said, but she was talking about it with me and my brother, and she said they just did it because they're just showing off. And I said, that's exactly correct.
Bingo.
China did this because they can. They're showing that they can do it, that they will do it, and there's nothing you will do about it.
But this particular time is very important, okay? They're showing they have no fear of the Biden administration, which, by the way, and I know I sound like a conspiracy guy, but I believe they own President Biden in every possible way. They have no fear. And plus, China was insulted when we had, I think, Pelosi and some others go over to Taiwan. Remember that? They were insulted by that. And this is one way of saying, okay, we're going to insult you. And insult us they did. And David, I believe that China also sent a message to Taiwan saying, this is the nation that you're counting on to keep us from coming over there.
Yeah.
Here, let me show you what they're like.
Yeah, they're just showing us that they don't care what we think, that they'll do it anyway. I really believe that's what's going on there. And
Ted Cruz is among some other Republicans who are trying to get a law passed that will not allow China to buy up our land like they've been doing, farmland in particular. Stop that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big deal to me. I mean, what were you thinking of letting these transactions go through? They bought a lot of farmland out there, a lot of farm property, and some of it's close to sensitive military installations. But why are we allowing that? So, again, that's something else that the Republicans are doing. But, again, China, to me, is just thumbing its nose, thumbing us in our noses, basically saying, we're not afraid of you. We don't believe you can do anything to stop anything we want to do.
Yeah, China's a really big problem, and the president needs to take it seriously and do some stuff about it. Joe Biden isn't doing that, and he won't.
No, he can't. And sad thing about it, David, everybody, every country, not just China, Iran knows it. Every country that is in opposition to us knows what we have in the White House right there. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's scary to me because, again, what you've said many times, and I agree with it, America has to be strong because that brings world stability. When America is weak, that's when we get all what's happening right now. And that's, I mean, my Christian brothers and sisters, I'm not a warmonger. Okay, I'm not for that. I'm not saying America needs to be in Ukraine, for example. But I am saying America, if we lose our status as the superpower, as the leader of the Western world, which I believe we are losing, if not having lost, then international instability will always be the result.
Yeah, the world is not naturally a nice, friendly, safe place.
Yeah.
It has to be made that way, and there has to be a force that is helping it be more peaceful than it would otherwise. And
I'm glad you put it that way because I don't think it's ever going to be a safe place.
No,
because there is such a thing.
It's not, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's people think that if everybody's just sweet and nice. That everybody's going to be sweet and nice,
right.
And that's just not the way the world is. It's a dumb thing to think. We think that here because we're so insulated, we've been so protected for so long in the United States. But the truth is that the world is not a friendly place, and the idea that it is a safe place and that we can trust certain things about it, and that's all an influence of the West.
Yeah, particularly America.
Yeah. That's right.
And again, that's just a fact. It's been shown. But my point is China is the number one enemy because China might use Davos, might play with them, but they're not willing to share power with a cabal outside of the Chinese Communist Party. They want to own the world.
Yeah, they're working on it.
They're working on it. And without a strong American president, which we haven't had since Trump left office, their job is easier than ever. And I only hope and pray it's not too late, Taylor Troop. So at any rate, I thought that was interesting.
I don't think it is, but we got to get on the ball. I mean, there's a lot of things we got to get right and change up. And, going green isn't going to do it.
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, one of the things we got to do, and we talked about this before, so I don't want to just run it into the ground, but we got to save our military. We're not meeting recruitment goals. Nobody wants to be in there. We're trying to make our military go woke.
Big mistake.
We are lowering the quality by trying to get women into places where they cannot support. So we're lowering the standards. They're also deliberately, I believe this, through the mask mandates and other stuff, they're deliberately cleaning out real patriots from the military. They don't want them in there. They never have. They want to remake the military over in their image, And don't be surprised if we don't see multicolored patches on uniforms in the military very soon. Because that's the way you think.
That's a real concern of mine, and that's the military was an institution for a long time that still was the best of America because that was still what you wanted to go with if you needed something done. Right. Is the military, and I don't count on that the same way I used to. I just don't have the faith in it that I used to have in it because of the woke politics that have wormed their way in to the military.
And we know from military ballots that were mailed in that they are predominantly conservative or Republican leaning. So that's another reason the Democrats have always hated the U.S. military because they weren't with the program. So now they're in power and they're trying to get our military in the program. So again, that's a very serious thing, and it should be another one of the first actions a Republican president should take. Now, speaking of the presidents, okay, you're still firmly in the DeSantis camp, right?
Firmly, okay. Yeah. I don't think I'm getting out of that camp.
Good. I'm wavering. I'm starting to lean more DeSantis and less President Trump because I really, again, I know Trump is going to go personal. I don't think he can stop himself. I don't know if he'll listen to anybody advising him not to. He's already said some things I thought were quite stupid. But then, David, I hate to say this, I remember even during the campaign that he won, he did that to the other fellow Republicans.
Yep.
He actually said things that Dr. Ben Carson, one of the greatest guys I know, was mentally unstable. Seriously, that was he
said Ted Cruz's dad killed Kennedy.
Right. I mean, and Ted Cruz almost never, he did eventually forgive him because he needed him, but he couldn't stand Trump after that.
Yeah.
So
remember Ted Cruz's speech at the convention?
I do.
Where he got booed because he said, "Follow your conscience when you vote."
Yep.
That was really something.
So as long as I have that particular trepidation in my heart about Trump, I'm leaning towards DeSantis.
Well, DeSantis is going to get hammered by the left, which he already has been, but by Trump. Trump, you said he's going to go personal. He will, and he has. And it's, I think DeSantis has an advantage in that he is currently the governor of a very important state. He's doing a lot of good things. And so DeSantis, right? I think DeSantis's best response is going to be scoreboard. That's it. Look at my results, and I don't think he has to answer the stuff.
I hope he doesn't feel the need to attack back.
Well, and frankly, Cleve, a lot of the senators and stuff that Trump ran against last time couldn't do that.
Good point.
That's a good point. As a senator, you're just not going to be able to have you're not going to have the opportunity to accomplish the kinds of things that a governor can accomplish and point to in their state, the kind of successes. You're just one of 100 if you're a senator.
And here's the kind of success, though, besides the economic success, okay, and besides the fastest recovery, I think, from the COVID stuff of any state that I can think of. Besides that,
except for Georgia, but go ahead. Yeah,
a good point. Kemp did do a good job there. He also stood up to a Leviathan industry, the Walt Disney. Okay, mm-hmm. He stood up to them, and a lot of folks would not have done that. Your biggest employer. And he stood up to them, and David, he won. And
yeah,
that to me is probably one of the biggest accomplishments. He did not back down to this behemoth of in his own state, and they backed down.
Yeah, that is such a funny story because you got leftist Democrats who all they ever talk about is how corporations are bad, how they don't pay their fair share, but then when you get on Disney. They're like, no, not my Disney.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy of that movement. So,
but you're right. It's a good point. He's actually doing things. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to get in the mud with Trump because Trump can post something on social media about DeSantis, and DeSantis can go out and have a press conference about how he is how Disney cannot govern themselves anymore. And how they're going to pay their fair share of taxes and they're not going to get special treatment in the state of Florida anymore. Right. See the difference?
Oh, yeah.
DeSantis has the advantage where he can actually make some political headwinds and make some hay while Trump is just sniping at him from social media.
And yet, if Trump listened to good counsel, I think somebody's telling him this, but he's just not going to listen. If Trump tried to be above that, if he said things like, yes, DeSantis is a great governor right now, but I've already done the presidency.
Yeah. Well,
I know what that, what it takes to get it. And so, you know what I'm saying? Take the high road.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the thing, Trump probably doesn't need advice from me, probably. He got himself elected president once already. But how about this tactic? One thing that he's been doing is talking about how he made DeSantis governor because he endorsed him.
Right.
At the same time, he's talking about how DeSantis is a globalist. So you made him governor, but he's bad. Yeah. That is not the play. Here's the play. You could do the exact same thing. You could Trump, pardon my pun there. You could Trump DeSantis. When DeSantis goes out and does something good, Trump can have a press conference to say, I applaud Governor DeSantis. He is doing a great job in Florida, and I'm so glad that I made him the governor of Florida with my endorsement. I'm so glad DeSantis is my guy. Yeah. I'm the reason that he won his primary. I'm the reason why he won in Florida, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of my guy, DeSantis. Yeah. That's how you would do it. You own it. Yeah. By saying that you're responsible for DeSantis, and that would be the way to take some of the wind out of DeSantis' sails. At that point, DeSantis would have a decision to make. He might even have to respond and say something bad about Trump, like, oh, no, I'm doing this myself. This is not about – that would hurt him.
That would not make him look good.
No, it wouldn't. See, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Trump, you do that, you put him in a bad situation.
I wish he would listen to you, David.
So I'm just saying that's how you do it if you want to do this. DeSantis is a very popular figure on the right now, and I just don't think that bashing him and tearing him down is the effective way to win that.
I couldn't agree more, and I wish – Donald Trump would listen to that kind of counsel. I can't believe you're the only one saying it. I just don't see him listening. His ego, unfortunately, is going to be his undoing. And I think things he got away with in campaigning last time, he won't be able to do it this time.
No, because, again, he's not facing the kind of guy that he did last time. There was nobody in the race last time that was anything like Ron DeSantis.
Very good. Good point.
That had anywhere close to the accomplishments of Ron DeSantis. I mean, the closest thing, probably in comparison, that Donald Trump ran against was Jeb Bush, who was a former governor of Florida and a very milquetoast kind of koala bear looking version of it. I mean, nothing at all like you got with Ron DeSantis.
No, that's a great point. So anyway, I'm just saying I'm still wavering. I'm waiting to see if Donald Trump will listen to the voices of restraint or not.
Well, he may hire me as a consultant. I will work for the Trump campaign if he wants to try to hire me. I'll do it.
The thing about Trump, and I'll finish on this, is that if he's showing me, and this is a negative thing, that if it cannot be him, he doesn't want it to be anybody. Okay, he almost said that in the Georgia race. Okay. I don't care if Kemp loses, and Abram, he didn't say this, but I mean, that's the attitude that came across. And I'm sorry, I cannot respect that attitude.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that makes it about him.
Right.
Instead of about us. And when Trump is at his strength, it's because people feel like it's about us, not him. Remember when he said, they're not after me, they're after you, and I'm in their way.
Right.
That resonated with people because he made it about us. Right. If he makes it about himself, it's not going to be the same.
No, it's not that. So anyway, we're going to see. We got a couple of years on that. I say we got a couple of years. I just think about the damage that Biden and company could do. And all I can do is pray that Republicans can stop him, restrain him in some shape, form, or fashion, because he wants to spend more money. The debt thing is coming up. And that we're talking about something that impacts us not just over the next couple of years, but America will be in a hole for a long time to come if we continue to pile on the debt that we're doing. So that's just me. Some good news. Let's end with some good news. The students from Our Lady of the Rosary School in Greenville, South Carolina, were in Washington, D.C. to participate.
Is that a Methodist school?
All right, so Catholic school, you know that. They went to Washington for the March for Life, and after the march, they went to the museum, the Smithsonian, Air and Space Museum, and the staff told them they could not come in there wearing their pro-life hats. And that they either take the hats off, the staff at the museum told them, or leave, basically. And a security guard did usher them out.
That's messed up.
Well, they got in contact with the ACLJ, Jay Sekulo's group, and the ACLJ sued the museum And guess what? The museum apologized. They said that they were going to retrain our personnel on this issue where nobody's going to be excluded because of that and yada, yada, yada. My point is they said that because they stood up. Mm-hmm. And I bring that up because, again, that's what we're going to have to do now. We're going to have to stand up. We can't wait for Congress. We're going to have to stand up ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good thing. First of all, the Air and Space Museum is great. It's just a big empty room. Just air and space. Okay. Just all the air and space that you can handle. Yes. And so that's fun. But it's good to see people actually do something to fight back. Call the ACLJ. That is a good thing. There is bias against people like us. There is. And I think we need to be meek. We need to be polite, but we do need to stand up for our rights.
Thank you. And that's all I'm saying. They count on us being quiet and just taking it. And we cannot do that, nor can we wait on anybody else to do it for us. So kudos to those guys.
And especially, the pro-life cause is so important to such an important cause. It's so important to keep speaking for the victims of this. And the Bible has an example of a person who exerts their rights for the furtherance of the gospel, for the purpose of God, and that would be the Apostle Paul. Did that very same thing. And I think that by his example, we should do the same thing. If we have the right to be treated equal under the law as Americans, we ought to exercise that right and take and fight back when people try to violate that right, especially if it's under the umbrella of speaking God's truth about life and the world.
And what you're referring to, the Apostle Paul would not let them ignore his Roman citizenship. Mm-hmm. He wasn't proud to be a Roman citizen, but it allowed him to express his faith and preach the gospel. So that's a great example. An example they can hear again, if they want to hear the entire program again. David, how's that?
Yeah, if you have an iPhone, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Spotify, also on YouTube and Facebook.
And do join us for another edition of Mere Conservatism. As I always like to say, David and I are in the fight. We're going to stand up. It's not over with yet. So please keep the faith. And we'll see you next time.